LSI 2021 at the beautiful Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel. It's nearly true tales of innovation. I'm your host, Benjamin Glenn. I'm here today with my good friend Tiffany Wilson to see what's new and what's next in Philadelphia. Tiffany, tell us more.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks for having me back. So 2020 was an interesting year for me.
What happened?
So aside from all of the wonderful COVID innovations that we conquered during my time at GCMI, on October 1st last year, I started a new role as president and CEO of the University City Science Center in Philadelphia.
Very good.
So I will tell you that starting a new role in a new city during a global pandemic has been quite the experience, so to speak.
How about the broader Philadelphia community? Are you getting to meet other people, the backers and supporters of Science Center?
I have. The Science Center has been around for 60 years, which is unbelievable. It's represented by 31 shareholders who aren't shareholders in a traditional sense, but represent the meds and eds in the greater Philadelphia tri-state region.
Wait a minute. Say that again. The meds and eds? What are
meds and eds?
All right, Tiffany, you're going to use that one. What's a med? What's an ed?
That's the saying up there. So medical schools and higher education institutions.
I like it.
And so they have been involved with the Science Center since the beginning. So it's not only just Penn and Drexel and Temple, but all across Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth, Delaware, and New Jersey.
Wow.
And so there's a really rich history there of collaboration in using a neutral party of the Science Center as a not-for-profit organization really designed as a place where innovators, researchers can come to work together to commercialize promising technology.
Wow.
And so it's really exciting what they've built, and it's an absolute privilege to be able to be in Philadelphia to build on that rich history in the next chapter of the Science Center.
So you're 7 months-ish into this. I think you've been working on your strategic plan. So can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, so I spent the first 90 days, as many new leaders do, on the listening tour. And to be honest, coming on board during COVID has been a gift in that way. It's enabled me to meet a ton of people and really make those virtual connections in a short period of time when I'm not running all around the city. In January, we kicked off a comprehensive strategic planning process. It's the first time that we've ever done planning internally at the Science Center. So we've got a core team made up of all the different program directors and departments at the Science Center. And I've just been amazed at the expertise and how hard people have leaned in and stepped outside their comfort zone. And the results that we're seeing is tremendous. And so where we are in the process right now is really, we've coalesced around 5 key strategic pillars, really building on some of the assumptions I had coming into the role, but what I've learned during my listening and through the incredible analysis and work that's been put in to validate assumptions. So it's not opinions and feelings, it's based on real data and customer feedback. And so those 5 pillars are really focused around commercialization and building on that pillar of the Science Center, what the mission was originally there to do, engaging with the community in a way. Philadelphia, and in particular West Philadelphia, if we didn't know it before, we do now know the healthcare and economic disparities that exist in that community. And so really thinking about what is the role of the Science Center and how do we play a role as an actor in the community to be able to address some of those disparities. Efficient communication is another one. As I've listened to a bunch of folks and given the history of the Science Center, I get a different answer of what does the Science Center do?
Really?
We have a just under 3 million square foot real estate portfolio. We've done development of the research park with partners, some internally. And so some people think we're a real estate developer. Some people think we're an accelerator. Some people think we're a workforce development program. Some people think we're Drexel. And so
you are very close.
We're very close. They're a next door neighbor, and they're a wonderful collaborative partner. But that confusion in the market is, I think, hindering some of the real value proposition of the Science Center. So we really want to define that. And the last two are around long-term financial sustainability, which is a challenge for any not-for-profit organization. And so really thinking about the value proposition of the Science Center and being able to turn that into long-term financial sustainability. And then finally is capital. And so it's, from prior conversations, I'm like a dog with a bone when it comes to figuring out early stage capital and access to capital for seed and Series A. And we've got a beautiful platform at the Science Center on which to build on that, and some new partnerships. So that's really going to be the fourth C in the mission of the Science Center, allowing the commercialization of promising technologies, convening people from around the region to inspire action, cultivating 21st century talent, and then providing access to capital to help that car go.
That's fantastic. I think you're hitting on, I love to think about ecosystem and innovation hubs. And one of the things that I personally believe is that we need to be training an army of, these life science, you don't need a PhD to go run lab samples and tune up an assay or fix all this equipment that's going in. It reminds me, when I got out of the Navy, I worked for Applied Materials. And so a semiconductor fab, there are multiple lines with very, very expensive equipment. All of it has to be maintained. And I think that we're seeing the exact same thing is happening. Precision medicine is going to be fueled by incredibly complicated machines that need to be maintained, just like you would maintain your air conditioner at the house, or somebody comes out and checks the sewer line. I think we're building an infrastructure now. And I look at Science Center and I think about the ability to train all these people. We need PhDs for a lot of things. We don't need PhDs for everything. And I think getting that training pipeline going and having really almost like artisans and craftsmen that are out there that understand the life science, tool set, the life science equipment set. So you think is that possible? Is there a way for Philly to play a role in that?
Absolutely. So we have a workforce development program at the Science Center under our cultivation pillar. It's relatively new. We just got some federal funding from EDA to be able to scale that program, which I'm really excited about. That program in its current form works with adults who have a high school education to help give them its bulb training, the basic understanding of lab basics.
Oh, I love that. Bulb. That's bulb. I love that.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And the stories that we're seeing.
I should take that class.
You should take it.
You should come to
Philadelphia.
Oh my gosh. Come to Philadelphia. I'm going to learn about laboratory basics. I tell you what, that is, it's another area. So that's what I mean, Tiff. It's like you start looking at what's really happening. Precision medicine and point of care, all of that is basic laboratory science. Because you don't want to send it to a central lab. You want to distribute that out, well then you've got to have people with just a basic understanding, a functional understanding of it.
Functional understanding. And so this is an element that I'm curious about, and where we're headed is building on that. So it's not just about being behind a microscope and learning how to pipette. Moving forward, I think if we look at workforce development in the long term, and this is a long game, in particular in Philadelphia, there's such an investment and so much amazing activity happening in cell and gene therapy.
Yeah.
If we think even moving back to middle school and high school, the importance of those students, even if their superpower is not behind a microscope, understanding the language of STEM, having a digital literacy, because maybe their superpower is marketing. Maybe it's finance, maybe it's operations, but they still need to understand what it is they're pitching, what it is they're analyzing, what it is they're financing, and being able to collaborate with scientists.
Oh, man.
Right. And so it's that whole IQ, EQ
That's
equation
right.
that we don't talk about enough, but it's absolutely crucial. Successful biotech companies are not built purely on the science.
That's right.
That's the foundation. But until you've got a cohesive, multidisciplinary team that works well together to get that solution manufactured into
right.
the hands
Approved.
of healthcare providers,
Right.
all of that, it's a team sport. And so the sooner that we can start teaching and providing hands-on experiences for our young people and adults to really grow and thrive and be part of this amazing ecosystem that we're building out, I don't think we're going to extract the value.
Right.
So it's something that we're thinking hard about during our strategic plan. And when I'm speaking with different stakeholders in higher ed and community colleges, and so it's fascinating. It's the first time that I've been able to have hands-on experience with workforce, where it's not something I just think about for fun anymore or out of curiosity and theoretical bouncing ideas with my colleagues at Department of Commerce or in the community.
Right.
But we've got the ability to actually make a difference, which is so exciting.
So it's very interesting that you mentioned your time with the Department of Commerce. Is that what the kind of work was? It was about workforce development on a national level?
I served on the National Advisory Council for Innovation and Entrepreneurship that was started, I believe, in 2010 as part of the Startup America Act during the Obama administration. And I served 2 terms, the first term under Secretary Pritzker. And Secretary Pritzker was very passionate about workforce and talent and what that means for a 21st century economy. And so NACCE really evolved into how do we think about issues to support innovation and entrepreneurship and policy and programs around that, but adding that third leg of workforce development.
Nice.
And so it really there were about 25 of us from around the country, Fortune 100 companies to large academics to people like me, boots on the ground, working with the startups and with the community. So it was really a wonderful exercise in thinking through all of those issues. And now we're getting to see it in a real live
Put it to work in
day-to-day.
Philly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's awesome. Wow, full circle. It's interesting you mentioned too that, and maybe this is a new occurrence, but getting the federal money, maybe are you finding in your survey of what's happening in Philly, are they taking full advantage of federal funding and federal grant programs that are there for the seed and development?
They are.
Are you seeing that?
Yeah, so there's so much federal money available right now, right? Obviously with the recovery, and how do we make it to the other side of the pandemic? I have been blown away by the business and civic engagement in Philadelphia. It is a pragmatic, practical, roll up your sleeves, get it done kind of place. And the community leaders really coming together to figure this out and making sure that those federal dollars that are flowing into not only Philadelphia, the Commonwealth, but around the country, how are we best deploying those dollars to really help work through the health and economic disparities in our region?
Oh, that's fantastic.
As a neutral party, we've got the ability to invite in leadership from the healthcare systems, healthcare providers, to really have candid conversations about where are the unmet needs, where are the healthcare disparities, what are the different elements. Is it just a technology issue? Probably not. There's socioeconomic issues as well. And so being able to bring all of those people around the table, literally and figuratively, to engage in that dialogue and figure out where that target is, I think will be really important and something that I'm really excited about.